y'all? It's your girl Farmer C coming to you today. A snow day. I am snowed in. It has been snowing here in North Carolina. Our area got, I think, like 2 inches, which is more than enough to shut us all the way down. Absolutely. And some of the back roads are still real icy. The main roads are fine, and the sun has been shining today, so a lot of it has melted. But there's still some ice on some of the back roads. I opted to not try to go down to the farm today. You know, I have 4-wheel drive on the truck, but it's just, I'm like, nah. Driving on ice and snow, it makes me nervous. So yeah, I decided not to do it. But that really ties into what this video is all about. So keep watching. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully by the end of this video, you will want to subscribe. If not, it's totally understandable. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. So if you saw my video, okay, not the last video, but that ties into this as well. But I think the video before that, I talked about my decision to build a tiny house on the farm. If you saw my last video, then you saw how someone drove their vehicle over my fields. And going to the point of like right now, it's a snow day. It would be treacherous for me to try to drive from my home to the farm. These are all reasons why it is imperative, it's important for me to now focus on building my home on the farm. And I'm just super excited about it. Honestly, I absolutely love being at the farm. I'm okay with being with myself, you know, and my dogs. Like, I don't feel lonely. I do enjoy loved ones coming to spend time with me, and I want to create that at the farm. But where it's located, like, I just know nobody driving out there with no BS. Like, who got time for that? So I love that. That is right up my alley. I love the air and the trees and seeing plants and, you know, being there on that little nugget of land. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to simplifying my life, but I'm gonna have to get rid of some stuff. I've been trying to purge, and it's actually been more challenging than I thought, because I really like the stuff that I have. I have a lot of it though, but I like it all. And yeah, so I've got to pare down, and I have to have somewhere to hang my art. Wait, I'm getting ahead. So this video is all about my thinking regarding building something on the farm, regarding the alternatives I'm looking at. You know, for example, should I just buy a tiny home that's already built? Should I work with someone to custom build it? Should I do a container home? Should I do something else non-traditional? Or should I just get an actual small house built? Those are all things that I'm thinking about, and we're going to talk about. And then also a timeline. So that's a lot. Am I going to do all that in this video? That might be too much. Maybe we'll just talk about the options in this one, and we'll see how long the video gets, okay? Because y'all don't be watching past but like 12 to 15 minutes. I've learned that with my videos. When they get longer than that, y'all be like, yeah, that's enough. So I ain't trying to wear out my welcome. I am drinking, let me see if I can y'all see this pretty purple? I don't know if it's coming through. It's purple. This is a blend I just made up. Well, I didn't just make it up. It's a blend that I'm testing out for one of our future teas. The tea itself actually is not purple, though. What made it look purple was that I added some elderberry syrup. Just trying to, keep my body as I'm just trying to keep my body's natural defense system as strengthened and as supported as I can. So yeah, I'm liking this blend too. I think this is going to be our next one. It's nice. That's nice. And I really like it with the elderberry syrup. So anywho, all right. So I kind of mentioned the reasons why I need to move onto the farm, right? I just need to be on site for when things happen. I can address them right then and there. I need the closeness as far as having to travel so much, miles on vehicles going back and forth. It's a 45 to 50 minute drive either way. So that's challenging. I've got my dogs here. When I'm gone for long stretches, I have to make accommodations for them, or I have to block my time. And I've had to come back, take care of my dogs, and then head back to the farm, which is like very difficult to do because the farm is not equipped for 3 dogs right now. Like, I'm not going to just let them run around and be, using the bathroom everywhere on my plants, and kids my grandkids gonna be out there. And I know, if you're a country kid, everybody has experienced, even non-country kids, y'all have experienced stepping in some dog poo. It's unpleasant. It's downright unpleasant. So I just don't like dog stuff everywhere, and I like my dogs to be comfortable. So yeah, those are all considerations. Also, my youngest daughter has her family in Georgia. They would like to move back to the area. They have, my 3 grandsons, 2 of which that school is a big consideration. And I bought this house for family. At the time I purchased it, it was for me and my 3 children. But it was always intended to be a home to raise families in. That's the intent I had in mind. My baby is gone, At least he's living his best life, and I'm loving to see it. So he's doing his thing. My girls are both grown, have their families, both homeowners. Baby girl wants to come back to North Carolina. I'm like, y'all could rent y'all spot out and come get this one. I don't need a 4-bedroom house in a family-friendly community, walking distance to the park and YMCA and all of that. No, I don't need that. Y'all can come get this. I'm headed to the farm, and I'm about to really simplify my life and really focus on what means the most to me. So with that said, here's what I've been thinking, or here's what I realize I need in a house. I'm going to need wall space. I am. Even with me weeding out art, I'm still going to have a lot of art. And I have invested in some large scale pieces. We'll have to figure out some creative ways, but I'm going to need some wall space. So there is a need for some height. I like height, by the way. I have very high ceilings in this house. I like height. Even if there's like a floor above me, I like airiness, I guess, is what I should say. I like airiness. So that doesn't mean it has to be like the actual footprint has to be big. It can just be like, aerial, vertical space. So yeah. Another thing is I do have 3 dogs, right? I've got ranging from 4 pounds to dang near 80 pounds. And I love my dogs. I do. I like for them to be comfortable. They're good dogs. Lazy as hell, but some of that's on me. Can't blame them fully. But yeah, I love my dogs and I want them to be comfortable. I want them to have an enclosed yard space. I want them to be able to do their sunbathing. I want them to be able to watch the birds and all the things that they love to do from windows and to still be protected. Theo is 4 pounds. I have to think about hawks and foxes and stuff like that. Like, that's real stuff. So I would need to make sure that they are, that they're safe and comfortable. And so that's a consideration. And me being on the farm, it'll be very easy. They'll be right there with me. And so that will definitely make life easier. Also, another thing about me being on the farm, for me, it's totally a lower cost of living. Like, wow, I can't even tell you how how different my expenses will be with that house versus this house. I like that. I like having a smaller footprint, as far as smaller space, smaller waste. So that's my mindset, because I will be more conscientious of what I bring into the home and what I have room for. I also see it as an opportunity. I do have the opportunity to create a home especially for me. Every home I've lived in up until this point has been a pre-existing structure, and I adapt my life to fit it. It would be cool, and some of the options I'm attracted to, I am leaning towards them, because it's like I can think outside of the box and really create something different within a budget. I have a budget. I'm not gonna be out here just balling and doing the most financially, but I do want to make the most of what I'm investing. So yeah, I've never had a house that I've actually thought about and designed. So, the first house I looked at, all right, or the first option I have been looking at are pre-existing tiny homes. These are tiny homes that have already been built, possibly pre-owned, or maybe it is inventory that a tiny home builder has on hand and they're trying to sell. Sometimes they have situations in which someone ordered, put a deposit down, and then something happens and they end up not getting the tiny home. And you can find some good deals sometimes. So the pros with that is done. It's already available. Good to go. Ready to be relocated and set up on the property. That means less time waiting. I can be on the property sooner. Then I can get the things I want to get done to this house done before my daughter moves in. So there's that. A con, one, our county, they're just weird. They don't know what to do with tiny homes, really. And it's sort of a situation if you don't say anything, then folks will be just do what you're going to do, especially if you're outside of city limits or whatever, if you're in the unincorporated areas like I am. Or just do what you're going to do. See, my thing is, though, I'm Black and I'm a Black woman. I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing what everybody else is doing, especially if the folks telling me to do what everybody else is doing don't look, like me. I like to dot my I's and cross my T's. And so I've talked to the county and they're like, we don't know or follow this code. And it's yeah, but specifically, XYZ, talk to planning or whatever. I'm trying to see what to say. Anyway, let's just say there are ways to still be able to do it. I just don't know if I feel like doing all of that. So there's that as a con. Another con is it's already done. I don't get to put my stamp on it. I don't get to really make any customizations because it's already done, and I don't want to be wasteful. So that's a con, and possibly, the location can be a con. If you purchase one new, typically when you're paying for it, you're going to already pay for delivery. When you're purchasing a pre-existing one or pre-owned one, you're going to purchase it more than likely, and then you're going to have to, oftentimes, they want for you to arrange for delivery, depending on who you buy it from. So that's a consideration. All right, the next consideration is to get a tiny home built from scratch. Have one customized and built with my input. That is a fantastic option as far as really, being able to add some bells and whistles. And, I like a little toot toot. I do. Ring-a-ling-ling. I like a little bell and I like a little whistle. So that option definitely appeals. However, of course, there's some cons. One, the cost for supplies right now is higher, and that actually is a pro for the pre-existing. You don't have to deal with the surplus cost right now in a lot of building materials because it's already been covered. So that is a pro for pre-owned, pre-existing. When you build it new, you're going to have to deal with supply shortages. Supplies are more expensive right now. So there's a surcharge for getting it done now. With that comes, the bells and whistles I may want. They come with a premium cost. They're not going to just give me the noise without me giving them some coins. I have to pay for those bells and whistles. So it's easy when you're designing something, when you get, when you have a vision in your head. Next thing you know, you're like, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's add that. And the next thing you know, you've blown your budget. I've learned that. I learned that with the cabin. So that's a concern. Just getting up and up and up and up in cost. Also, it's going to take longer. It'll take longer than getting a pre-existing structure. And again, having to deal with permitting issues and just working with local government on making sure that it's something that, for me, I think of it as I want to make sure I set it up to be an appreciating asset. Just something to think about. Another option, container homes. They're the type that you can actually put on a permanent foundation, so that'll make, the permitting folks happy and everything. They're a little more common in this region, so it's a little easier to get the sign off for them as far as any permits, etc. are concerned. There are builders here that can build it and make sure that everything is up to code, and they're readily available. Another pro can be if you use a shipping container that has been on, I think the advice is make sure, like just a one-trip shipping container. You don't want one that has been used several times, if I'm not mistaken. That's the rule of thumb. And so if you use one that's already been on a trip, it could be looked at a way of recycling or upcycling. And I forgot that as a con for getting it built from scratch. There is the environmental impact of that. And a pro for pre-existing is, again, you eliminate that environmental impact. So shipping containers, they're just too narrow. They're too narrow. And if you start joining them together, it gets more expensive because you have to ensure that the structure maintains its structural integrity. Like if you start cutting out walls and all of that, you have to put other reinforcement in. So like I like the idea of storage container housing. I think it is a viable, one of the viable solutions to addressing some of the housing challenges that we have. I also think that it has been commercialized to a point that it's not really as affordable an option as it could be for people. But yeah, I'm not drawn to it. So I kind of crossed that one off the list. And so the next option is just me buying some house plans for a small house. And they do have house plans under 1,000 square feet, which is what I'm looking at. I'm actually looking at anywhere from 400 to 800 square feet. If it's 400 square feet, that's not counting additional like second floor, space or whatever. That's just the actual footprint on the ground. Would be 400, but it'll be more like 800 because it's going to have to be high. So I've looked at some plans and there's some cute ones out there. And I'm going to just show y'all a few. I don't have nobody's copyright for any of these images. All right. Let me just put that out there. I don't. I'll let y'all know where I got it from. But hopefully nobody tries to sue me because, we love to sue in America. But anyway, yeah, those are some options that I've been looking at. Typically like 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So, small, cute, just enough. That's what I'm looking for. Just enough space. So that is an option, and that has pretty much the same pros as any of the other, new construction projects do, even though I'll be purchasing plans, you still have some room there to make some tweaks and pick out surfaces and things like that, fixtures. So you have that input. Cons, of course, just time, expense. It still can be very expensive to, new construction right now is expensive. It's just expensive. So even if it's small, it can get pretty high per square foot. So that's a consideration. I have a finite amount of money, and I want to be as responsible as possible with it. So I have to think about that with new construction as well. And then lastly, this is the one I really like, y'all. This is the one I really like. Am I going to tell you all? No judgment, okay? You may not like it. It may not be your cup of tea. But be open-minded and keep in mind that, I'm sharing this with you. So the one that I really like is a grain bin. Also, some people call them silos. A grain bin house. And I'm going to show you all some examples. So yes, this is a grain bin house, and I've been looking at all different kinds. I even had one of my dear artist friends to just, he just put a mural on it and was like, yo, you could do something like this. And that kind of just took me over the edge. Like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do, because that is just an open canvas. It's unique. It's different. They exist, but not so many. And I could just see it having just a real cool, funky vibe. Yeah. I don't know. It may have to happen in phases because, again, I have a budget. I've been looking at the cost and purchasing a used one versus purchasing one brand new. Of course, there's pros and cons with that, right? You get it used, it's gonna be cheaper. It's better for the environment as far as you're not, creating new materials or contributing to the need for the creation of new materials, because I'm sure there's a lot of pollutants involved with creating grain bins. Cons, oftentimes you have to disassemble them. You're going to have to replace all the hardware. You need to make sure they're in good condition. Good conditioned. A lot of times they want you to disassemble them and then have them reassembled, and that's an expense. Relocating them can be an expense if you go with used. If you buy it new, they're going to bring it and drop it off on, your front door, so to speak. So there's that. It does need a concrete foundation. I was really trying not to really do concrete at the farm. So that's something I have to think about. I have to think about that, because basically when you pour foundation, you're taking that land out of production on a more permanent basis. At least that's how I feel. So that's something I'm thinking about. All right, y'all, that's it. Ooh, that was loud. So yeah, those are my options. Please chime in below and tell me what you think, which options you like, why, which option you may not like, why. If there's some other, if there are some other things, I should be taken into consideration. All of that. I want to hear from you. So thank you so much. I do plan to bring you along on this journey. So I'm going to create a playlist just for this conversation, as far as building the tiny house on the farm, or whatever. It's going to still be a tiny house either way. So, all right, stay tuned for more.